Hey guys, this video is going to cover the rough outlining of your one-point perspective cityscape project. Here at the start you'll see that I have a few different examples of different ways that you can set up your horizon line and vanishing point in order to adjust your final drawing, whether you want to have it more of a bird's eye view or more of a in the streets kind of view. You're going to want to have your horizon line higher or lower to achieve that effect. You can also see that effect really easily in some of the reference images that I have up on the Google slide presentation, so be sure to kind of look at those and research if that is something that you are really trying to care about. For this video, I decided to try to make it a little bit generic so that it is applicable to whatever you decide to do. With some of your buildings going both above and below the horizon line. This will be also dependent on where you place that vanishing point, so just be careful when you are starting off. Try maybe a few sketches to see where you want stuff. The next thing to remember is that the first couple lines that you do are going to be really important for placing the rest of your shapes on your final composition. So I recommend starting with the road and sidewalks to give you some context for where the rest of your pieces are going to go. Finally, I would work from right to left, starting with the largest buildings, so that you can kind of place the rest of them in relation to that first one and make sure that all of your lines are parallel, as well as going from that vanishing point to the corners of each of your shapes. I decided for mine to keep it pretty simple, however I am going to have a little bit of a park or maybe even a zoo on the far right hand side here. This video is not going to cover all of the detailing that you'll need to do in order to make this look like a big city, but it will give you the roughing of all of the different buildings and stuff, so you'll see where I go with this. As I'm working, you'll notice that I do draw a little stick figure guy. This is going to give me an idea of the proportion of my buildings in relation to a human-sized figure, and I will use that kind of information to judge how big doors should be, how far apart sidewalk cracks should be, windows, all that good stuff is going to be kind of dependent on the size of a human person, because you know, if your stuff is too small or too big, it's not going to make sense logically. And so next here you'll notice that I'm getting started on my second building. I am going to try to use those previous parallel lines that I drew and then slide over in order to get them to be parallel. That first line that I had drawn was definitely a little bit uneven, and then my cat decided to help, so that was super duper helpful. But kind of moving along here, considerations that you can make as you're working would be what kind of roof you want to have, if you want your building to just be a simple rectangle, or if you want it to have a steepled or rounded top. This one I did decide to make a rounded top, and I got a little bit confused here at first and didn't think about the angle that it would need to be. But anytime you are doing a roof that is not just straight across, wherever the start of the right hand side of the curve is going to be, or the slant is going to be, is where you're going to want to draw an orthogonal line so that your curve on the left side can line up with that. And so here you'll just see me repeating some of these techniques. I will use that first line to kind of measure and make sure that the next line that I draw is parallel, erasing lines as I go in order to rough out my shapes. So once you get your first shape started, your first building over on the right hand side, I would honestly consider that to kind of be the anchor point for the rest of your buildings. It should go a little bit quicker once you have that one put down where you want it to be. Here you'll notice that I am going to be making a slanted roof with just the slanted line, and so you'll notice that that orthogonal is there in order to kind of guide where my roof parts should start their slant. And then this piece will just be a parallel line. And then next I decided to go and work on the left hand side. Remember that you need to have 6 buildings in your final composition, so putting them on both sides will help you get to that final count while keeping them large enough while getting details on all of your buildings on both sides. So at this point, this process really is just a repeat. You are going to follow the same logic on any object that you're drawing. So all of your vertical lines should be parallel, and all of your diagonal lines should go to that vanishing point. I tried to do something here that didn't work out and I ended up erasing it, so you can kind of look and see where I went wrong with this. This is what happens when you try to just freehand a steepled roof. It really doesn't work that well. So definitely stick to what works and what's logical, and you shouldn't really have any trouble getting this done. That is about it for this portion of the Cityscape project. The next video will go over how to do things like windows and other details in order to create a more interesting and detailed piece. I did go back and give the buildings on the left a little bit more of a lawn or space in between what the road would be and the sidewalk. So that will be a part of the next video that I'll be posting here soon.